its season has been one of contact and confrontation. It started at Long Beach, where Mario Andretti was fighting with Al Unser Jr. for the lead of the race. Little Al went on to take the win. With 4 miles left at Indianapolis, Little Al and Emerson Fittipaldi fought for the lead. It was worth $1 million for Emo. On the streets of Detroit, Fittipaldi and Mario Andretti tangled on the very first corner, but both were able to continue on. Then, locked again as Fittipaldi fought his way back through the field. Emo would go on to score the win. Now, Fittipaldi was on a hot streak. At Portland, Scott Pruitt was locked in a battle with Al Unser Jr. With no serious damage to either car, Little Al would restart and continue his fight. In a driving rain at the Meadowlands, Fittipaldi and Bobby Rahal in a battle for the lead. Rahal would take this one, the former IndyCar champion's only win this year. At Toronto, Mario Andretti, trying to pass Teo Fabi, ripped into Roberto Guerrero's parked Alfa. Thankfully, Mario was not injured. In the closing laps, Michael Andretti pushed Fittipaldi aside and took the victory. During the qualifying at Mid-Ohio, Teo Fabi was caught up by Fabrizio Barbazza, cutting the rear suspension off of Teo's car and sending him out of control and nearly head-on into Scott Pruitt. But Teo would come back to take the victory, a first for Porsche in the Indy cars. At Elkhart Lake, Danny Sullivan would use the racetrack and a little more to get past Michael Andretti on the last lap as Michael ran out of fuel. Sullivan went on past and picked up the checkered flag, his second win of the 1989 season. At Nazareth, the championship fight was between Mears and Fittipaldi. Mears ripped a hose loose on his last stop, giving the race and the IndyCar championship to Emerson Fittipaldi. The IndyCars and their drivers are ready for the final run of 1989. It's been a long road, rough and tumble. The emphasis today shifts from a points fight to an old-fashioned shootout for the bragging rights of being the season's last winner. Cars that need not race again are today driven by men with something to prove.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Begins to build for the last time in this 1989 racing season. Danny Sullivan of the Penske stable sits ready to go. His teammate Rick Mears just across the way. The engines fired, started, and looking forward to a start. On board with Al Unser Jr. Teo Fabi stares ahead, contemplating his run here at Laguna Seca. 300 kilometers lie ahead, and the Indy cars are set to go racing. Rick Mears sits poised and ready to go. On the pole is Rick Mears, who set a new track record to earn the second road course pole of his career. Alongside is his teammate Danny Sullivan, the defending champion of this event. The second row, Teo Fabi, the winner of the inaugural event here back in 1983. Outside is Michael Andretti, who won the Toronto race and the Michigan 500 this year. The third row, Bobby Rahal, the master of Monterey. He won this event 4 different times. And Al Unser Jr., who won yesterday's Marlboro Challenge. The fourth row, Emerson Fittipaldi, the newly crowned kart IndyCar world champion. And Mario Andretti, who is desperately looking to end a 15-month losing streak. Scott Pruitt in the fifth row, currently 8th in the point standings. And Derek Daly, who finished 7th on this course 1 year ago. The sixth row, Arie Luyendyk, who finished 2nd at Portland last year, but is still looking for his first win. And Raoul Boesel, his sparkling effort at Indy netted him a career-best third-place finish. Didier Taze, the Belgium driver, finished 3rd in last season's finale at Miami. And Scott Brayton, making his first start on this course since 1985. Fabrizio Barbazza, the younger Italian, finished 3rd in the 1987 Indianapolis 500 in only his 3rd career start. And John Jones, the 1988 Kart Rookie of the Year. Dominic Dobson made his IndyCar debut here at Laguna Seca 4 years ago. And Randy Lewis, who has 7 career top 10 finishes, all of them on road courses. In row 10, Kevin Kogan and Rocky Moran filling in for A.J. Foyt. The 11th row, Roberto Guerrero and John Andretti. The 12th row, Pancho Carter with 150 IndyCar starts and Steve Saleen. The 13th row, Ken Johnson and Guido Dacco. And in the 14th and final row, Jan Bikas and Bernard Jourdain, the leading candidate for CART's Rookie of the Year honors. So that's your starting field. You look now from the nose of Arie Luyendyk's car as they continue on their parade laps. The field formed up now, heading for the 11th and final turn. The PPG pace car has pulled off the edge of the pit apron. And now they come for that final turn. Rick Mears is to the front and to the left. His teammate Danny Sullivan to the outside and the right. Mears decided the inside position was the better starting position for this race. The field juggles around just a bit as the green flag comes out and we're racing. Mears and Sullivan, a drag race down to the first turn as Sullivan noses just ahead. Michael Andretti pulls up to the outside, but it's not a position that he can maintain. Sullivan takes the lead. Rick Mears drops back to second. Michael Andretti continues to charge up behind Rick Mears. Then Al Unser Jr. on board with little Al now. That's Michael lying just ahead as Danny Sullivan is able to pull a bit away from Rick Mears. Nice, safe, and smooth start with Danny Sullivan coming across the front of his teammate on the exit of the third corner and picking up the lead.
You know, I don't think that's quite what Rick Mears wanted, Paul. He would hope to have led this thing, but Danny Sullivan is doing extremely well. His car is working good. It was yesterday, and so I think that's my pick for today.
The number 1 Miller High Life car out in front. Danny Sullivan driving it. He won this race 1 year ago. But Rick Mears, on the other hand, is a driver who says, oh, I'm not really sure I ever want to jump out on the start. If it happens, I'm glad to be there, but if it doesn't, it's okay with me. Now he has his hands full with Michael Andretti, who's tucked in right behind as we come to the completion of the first lap. 84 laps, the scheduled distance here at Laguna Seca. Number 1 is now complete, and Danny Sullivan goes into the record book as the leader of lap number 1. The fight is for second place. It's a 3-car battle. Rick Mears, Michael Andretti, and then Teo Fabi with a problem. Al Unser Jr. Teo Fabi slowed down. Raul Boisel in the Domino's car got past there. The battle for second place closes up. And we're seeing a bit of a spray coming at the back of Little Al's car. I wonder what that means.
I don't know. It's hard to tell at this point. It did one place where he had to lock the brakes up and smoke a tire, so it must be something coming out of the car, either just a little wisp of smoke from the oil tank or something.
We'll keep an eye on Al Unser Jr., who currently runs in 4th place. Danny Sullivan begins to pull away as Rick Mears still has his mirrors full of Michael Andretti, though Michael has dropped back just a bit as they climb the hill once again, coming all the way up to the top. Lying just ahead is that marvelous corkscrew as they come downhill, weaving right then left.
Yes, Rick Mears has pulled up a little bit of distance on Michael now, so he evidently got his tires warmed up, and he's going on up to Sullivan.
Bobby Rahal is now beginning to close in on this fight as well. Rahal runs just behind this car, Al Unser Jr. in 5th place, then Mario Andretti, and then Derek Daly, then Emerson Fittipaldi, then Arie Luyendyk. Scott Pruitt now runs in 10th place. Completion of the second lap. Danny Sullivan is still out in front. He's widened the interval now. He's now nearly 2 seconds out in front of Rick Mears in 2nd place. Michael Andretti takes a little lower entry into the turn. Al Unser Jr. right there, reminiscent of yesterday's Marlboro Challenge. And again, as he upshifts, you're seeing that spray at the back of the car.
At the very same place, Paul. So we've not noticed it anywhere else around the course. So something right there is causing the car to smoke a bit when he makes a gear shift.
On board with Al Unser Jr. in a very successful Marlboro Challenge, but now is trying to move up from his 4th position and catch Michael Andretti. Rick Mears is able to pull a little bit away. Seems to be getting off some of the tighter corners just a little bit better. Al Unser Jr., frustrating season, he says. He started with a win, of course had a win in the Marlboro Challenge, but it's not the season he would have liked to see. But look at that. He comes by Michael Andretti, and again we see that puff of smoke, which would get me to believe that maybe that engine isn't long for the world. As look at this, Danny Sullivan slows down. They all come around Sullivan, so Danny Sullivan with a problem very early on. And now Rick Mears has the lead again, and Al Unser Jr. is in pursuit, followed by Michael and then Bobby Rahal. I wonder what happened to Sullivan.
Oh, that's incredible that he would break out into that much of a lead, and here he is coasting into the pits, into his pit. It looks like it's done for the day.
Well, Danny Sullivan, the Penske team comes over the wall.
Word here as to what the...
Well, they're going to work on the front of the car. The shock absorbers are down in that section. Perhaps they need a readjustment, or maybe one's broken. It also could be a brake problem there.
It could be. They're working on in the area where the brake pedals and the reservoirs are as well. So they're busy working in the front of that car, and two of them in the same area there. Something is in the way or caused a problem. Danny showing frustration. He's talking to them on the radio.
Gary Gerald was trying to tell us that it is probably a brake problem. And remember, this car, the current leader, Rick Mears, had a brake problem in the Marlboro Challenge. So perhaps there is something to consider there. Those cars, the PC-18s, have not shown that kind of trouble at any time during this year. In the nose of R.A. Lyondike's Provimi machine. Just ahead, you can see Emerson Fittipaldi from time to time as Lyondike closes in from 7th place on the 6th place running Fittipaldi. Then just ahead of Emo is Mario Andretti. The top 4, Rick Mears, Al Unser Jr., and Michael Andretti, followed by Bobby Rahal. Here's Teo Fabi. He started 3rd, and he suffered a problem, dropped back to 11th, and has now come forward a bit in 10th place. No indication as to what the problem might have been. He pulled widely off the line, let a couple of cars get under him and passed, and now seems to be running back on the pace.
It's very hard to say. He might have had a problem gear shifting. Something might have clicked in the car and had a problem. Here we have a chance to look at Al Unser Jr. chasing Rick Mears. What a shot. These in-car cameras are fantastic.
As they climb the hill now, continuing elevation climb. Let's watch as Al Unser Jr. pursues Rick Mears, the leader. Down to the corkscrew. Well, you think that little downhill run isn't a thrill to the stomach at the speeds they're going.
They have just repaved this section of the course, and it is very smooth.
Through the 11th and final turn, onto the pit straight once again, and you can see little Al is tucked right in behind Rick. Rick looks over to his left mirror just to make sure he knows where little Al is. Through the first turn, now in pursuit the second turn. Let's see if Al Unser Jr. is going to make a move. This was the favored part of the course for little Al in the Marlboro Challenge, but Rick is able to keep him back. Let's go to the pits and Gary Gerald.
Well, Paul, the situation for Danny Sullivan, we confirm, is brake. That's what we had suspected. It was a brake problem for Rick Mears yesterday. They said it was a mechanical problem when they took the car apart last night. They were fully confident there would be no such difficulty today. Sullivan radioed that he had absolutely no brakes after a first lap vibration. They are checking the master cylinder up front. Spent a long time in the pits. Obviously no chance to win. He's hoping he'll still get a chance to go out and do a little racing yet this afternoon, but it has to be extreme disappointment for a man who will surrender the #1 at the end of this day.
Scott Pruitt battles with Derek Daly. This is a fight right now for 8th place. Daly currently in 8th in the Raider car, number 10 there in front, and the 3 Budweiser car of Pruitt, and then the Quaker State Porsche of Teo Fabi. He dropped back to 11th, came forward to 10th, and now he seems to be stuck here for a while. They were running just behind Danny Sullivan, who's back out on the circuit, and a number of laps behind the leaders. And then Sullivan was able to pull steadily away. You're on board now with Scott Pruitt as he chases Derek Daly just up ahead. They come up to the top of the hill. The corkscrew lies just ahead. See the brakes on Daly's car as he slaps down on that pedal. For race drivers, Johnny Rutherford, the changes in elevation really are a lot of fun. It adds another dimension to racing.
It does, and it keeps you so busy that you lose track of time. There we see Fabi making a move, trying to get down on the inside, didn't quite get it handled. But you're right, it is a lot of fun on this course because it does change drastically. And you like you say, you lose track of time, you're running out there. It's an opportunity to stay very busy, and the race is over before you know it.
Well, Al Unser Jr. looking up to Rick Mears as they begin to encounter other cars on the circuit now and work their way through traffic. And now they have the 29 car. Belongs to Pancho Carter, who has started 150 IndyCar races in his career, and they move around Pancho.
Rick Mears has been able to run a very smooth race, and it's starting to show because he has a little daylight. Now that they're picking up some of the back markers, it's an opportunity for him to put somebody in a critical spot between himself and Al and use that to get a little bit more distance.
Al Unser Jr. pulls his hand up, probably to pull a tearaway off the front of his helmet.
Yes, they stack up little thin clear sheets on there, and you can rip them off one at a time, and as they get dirtied up or sandblasted, you can reach up and grab the corner of the top one, pull it off, and let it fly into the air, and they'll be laying, toward the end of the race, you see tear-offs laying all over the racetrack.
So Al Unser Jr. with Rick Mears lying just ahead, and when you tuck in nice and close behind Rick Mears like that, you'll get an occasional spray off the exhaust of his engine. We've been talking about that problem, that at least what we notice a problem, is little blue puff at the time to time at the back of Little Al's car. Now, perhaps Jack Arute can update us.
Well, Paul, what we did is we checked in with the Team Gallus, to see what they thought about it. And they said, according to Rick Gallus, that it's nothing more than just a little bit of turbo smoke, a little turbo kickback when he comes up through the gearbox.
We got a view there of Carl Haas, the owners of Newman Haas Racing, with his ever-present cigar. He chews on that thing during the entire race and mumbles to himself throughout the race as he keeps track of his cars around the circuit. Mario Andretti currently running in 5th, and Michael Andretti running in 3rd. Mario has come up now behind Bobby Rahal and is challenging Rahal in a fight for 4th place. The leaders are getting around here just over 105 miles an hour now. Now, that's a bit slower than some of the faster laps. The average speed of the race at 105, and Rick Mears' best lap to this point at 106.8. Bobby Rahal, the master of Monterey, they call him. He had 4 straight wins here. Can he do it again today? He certainly knows this course perhaps better than any man.
Well, he does. Of course, when he won those, it was on the old course before they put this extra added bit in the center of the racetrack to make it longer. So it's a little different now, but he's still a very formidable competitor.
And he's riding in between the two Kmart Haviland machines. Michael Andretti just in front, Mario Andretti just behind, and Little Al has really been putting the pressure on. Rick Mears riding those brakes hard, locked up the left front as they came through turn 11 and onto the pit straight. Mears uses a little better exit to the corner to pull away from Al Unser Jr., but Jr. has been very sharp through these first turns. Let's watch.
Al Jr. looks like he might be holding back just a little bit. Now, I don't know what their strategy is, but he's not really. When he gets up there and gets a chance, he gets busy trying to set Rick up for the pass. But whenever Rick pulls away, he just kind of, waits, and then we'll see him eat up the ground and get back up to him, and he'll try to pick one of these back markers to use to close the gap and get by.
Now we watch as R.A. Lyondike closes up behind John Andretti and moves around. John Andretti to a story, too, because one of the other tales that are being told in the pits would indicate that John Andretti might be a 3rd car owned by Carl Haas. That would make 3 Andrettis on the Haas payroll.
Yes, and of course, here we're back with the lead with Al Unser Jr. He still can't quite get enough mustard to get in position to get Rick Mears, but he keeps closing. We're seeing a little gap there. Mears looks like he might be geared a little bit lower where he needs to be able to pull up some space.
And of course, the question that you now have to ask, and Jack Arute in fact did ask of A.J. Foyt, if Patrick is Alfa Romeo, then where does the Chevrolet they currently have go? Teo Fabi, the Porsche, in and out of the pits. The fight for the lead continues. There will be then theoretically an extra Chevrolet. Now Chevrolet's playing it pretty close to the vest. They haven't said whether or not there really will be an extra Chevy, and if there is, where it will go. Here comes Little Al. He tries down the inside of Rick Mears. Every time he's tried it there, Mears has been able to shut the door on him.
Yes, and he pulls away from him just very drastically up the hill.
Little Al have to wind their way through traffic, and Little Al has been able to close down. This is a point in the race in which you don't necessarily drive as fast as you can. You have to really pace yourself into the corner, John.
Yes, you do. You have to judge this traffic, because this is where you can make up or lose a lot of ground very quickly. Here we see over Al Unser's shoulders, he goes by, and Rick still is working the traffic just beautifully, able to time it to where he's by, has the advantage, gets a little bit of space.
Well, the game plan would call for a Rick Mears pit stop on the 26th lap, and as he's coming around now, he will be completing lap number 26, and Little Al continues to poke his nose right into the gearbox of that number 4 Pennzoil machine. They come down the hill, heading for turn 10. That right-hand turn, Rick Mears has his option here to turn into the pits or to continue on, and both first and second place head down on the pit road, a very rough area. In fact, Emerson Fittipaldi spun the car in practice here and tagged the wall while he was in a private test session. On the crew cam now, Little Al Unser Right front tire being changed. Michael Andretti picks up the lead out on the circuit as these two are in the pits. And in the fight for the pits, they come out together, and Rick Mears rockets past Little Al and heads back into the action. Boy, look at Rick accelerate. Whoa!
I tell you what, that shows the pit crew work. They are the guys, the unsung heroes behind the scenes that get the job done for you. And there they both were equal. They came out together. Rick still had the advantage because he stopped first and came out.
Ari Leyendijk was running in 8th place as he rolls into the pits. Dick Simon Racing goes to work on the Dutch boy Provimi car right now. Car a little slow up on the jacks. Ari looks around, checks his mirrors, looks at all corners to make sure that everything's moving smoothly and properly. Quick conversation at the front of the car. It's already full of fuel. They work on the left side tires, and there's the leader, Michael Andretti. Of course, he still has not stopped. But Michael has traditionally been able to go a lap or two further than everyone else.
Well, that means that he has the fuel mileage, and that'll be worth watching because he does well on this course, too.
Apparently a lot of conversation in the drivers' meeting this morning because of the fuel management that has to be accomplished. They only allow so many gallons of fuel for each race in an IndyCar race, and some of the drivers apparently quite vocal. Look, let's forget that fuel limitation. We've got a pop valve on the engine. That's limiting the engine's power anyway. So let's get rid of the fuel limitation so we can race one another rather than making an economy run.
Well, that's been a bone of contention for ever since they did it to us, and so I think we may see something develop in that area that they'll open that up because it is a bit of a problem when you're out there running, going for it, and you run out of fuel before the end of the race.
Well, some of the current fuel regulations harken all the way back to 1973 when we had a gasoline shortage. Now, these cars don't use gasoline, but Indy cars decided to go along with it, being a good example to the public. Scott Pruitt made his stop. He was in 7th place when he came in, rolls back into the action. And look at this. There goes. Boy, I was going to call that as Rick Mears for a second. It sure scared me. It looked like that combination in front again, didn't it?
It did.
Scott Pruitt on board now with Scotty. He's running back in 7th place now, and Michael Andretti is up in front.
There you can see one of those tear-offs. The edge of it, the wind has blown it out straight on the side. Now we have...
There's the leader, Michael Andretti. Let's go to Jackaroo.
And Paul, Michael Andretti brings his car to a stop in front of the Newman-Haas pit. They're taking on fuel. Michael taking on refreshment. They've completed the work on the exchange of tires. They have dropped the jack. They wiped away some of the radiator. Some of the stuff in 13.5 seconds. Some of the debris. He is off and away. The thing to remember, gentlemen, is this is exactly the point that they had pointed towards stopping. So it looks like they've cured their fuel woes of yesterday.
So Newman-Haas is right on their game plan. Mario Andretti picked up the lead. Bobby Rahal came out right behind Michael. Rahal in 4th place as he comes out of the pits and back up to speed as he comes around John Jones, the Canadian from Thunder Bay, and picks the pace up again. Here's the new leader of the race, Mario Andretti, with 28 laps complete, and the average speed of this race very, very fast indeed, 105 miles an hour. The race record at 94 miles an hour set by Danny Sullivan just last year. So they're setting a torrid pace.
Yes, and we see some of the strategy. They've gotten Michael in and out of the pits. Now it appears, yes, Mario is going to the pits now. He has a clear shot at it. He has a substantial lead. We'll see if that will work in his favor so he can get back out into the lead.
Well, he's already got 18 seconds in the bank. That was his lead as he came into the pits. Here's Jack.
And Paul, lest we forget, Mario Andretti is winless thus far in this season. He has brought his car to a stop. The team has gone to work. They are changing tires all the way around. They've completed that work. They are now filling the tank up as far as it will go with fuel. A long stop, but they dropped the jack, and he is off and away in 14.6, 1.1 seconds slower than his son.
So Mario Andretti comes flying out of the pits now. And there is Rick Mears as he comes around to complete the lap. So Mario Andretti with one spectacular stop. The Newman-Haas teams really played it very well.
They did for a fact. That's according to game plan, I'm sure, and Mario is back in the lead by just a short bit there. He had a problem with a slower car coming out of the pits, but now we can see he's making the move on his son, trying to get by on the inside. Rick Mears is closed up right in there. It's a real race.
Boy, there's the fight. First, second, and third line all together. Mario, Michael, and Rick Mears as they come off of their stops now. The first stop completed. 29 laps of this 84-lap race complete. And Michael and Mario fighting with one another. They've had a great season together. Look at Rick Mears. Mears cuts it way down on the inside and comes past Michael. Rick is racing today.
Oh, he has it going for him. Look at that. Down through the carousel. Very hard out to the edge of the road. They are really pushing through here, Paul.
Next place to make a pass is under heavy braking after this corner here. This is turn number 10, and going into 11, the left-hander just before the pit straight. You can jump all over the brakes. Let's watch Michael and Rick. Nope, they decide let's all line up. Along the pit straight now. Up a little bend at the top of the hill, and then the next opportunity for serious passing as they come down through here. Again, heavy braking. They slow these 750 horsepower machines down. Running in 5th place, Teo Fabi continuing his pursuit. There's Derek Daly running just ahead of Fabi, though Daly with his stops off the pace and not running on the same lap with Teo Fabi.
Fabi made a mistake there, I think, in trying to set up coming down the hill. He probably would have done better to stay right in behind Derek Daly and get a chance. Now he's going to try him on the outside down the straight, and it looks like he's going to get the pass done.
Boy, you really got to tiptoe there, because if you're making the pass on the outside there, that's pulling you off the race course. The lateral G-forces just trying to shove you off the course. In sections of the course now, you'll see a yellow and red flag being displayed. That's because there was a trail of oil being reported out of the back of Bernard Jourdain's car, making this course a little bit more slippery. It seems to have been in great shape to this point. The fastest lap thus far has been turned by Rick Mears. There's Fabrizio Barbazza, who came off the course and out of the race. He's out of the car. Another team that they wonder what they might be doing next year.
Yes,
Frank Arcero's team.
Arcero's team says they may not be back.
See a yellow flag there, obviously protecting the car at that particular corner station. And out comes the Horton safety team.
Now this, you know, the car is in a precarious position, and obviously after the incident at Toronto, you wouldn't want to see that happen again, so they may go to that full course yellow just to get that car out of the way.
And this is Al Unser Jr. battling with Bobby Rahal in a fight for 4th place.
Once again, it's close up, take your chance. If you get an opportunity, then you've got to go for it. But it's very close on this kind of a track.
I think
you have an opportunity.
I think they're worried about the combination of Barbazza's car being in a precarious position and the oiling of the course. They have decided to go to full course yellows, no passing, and out comes the PPG pace car as one car comes off of the course. And it's obliterated by dust. I think I got a quick view of the 22 number of Scott Brayton, the Amway car. They'd reported that he had some smoke displaying at the back of his car a few laps ago, and now he's taking a quick slide off of the course. That may tell you how slick it is.
Yeah, he's off into a sand trap, and it'll take a little pushing and shoving to get that car out of there. And he wants to get moving. You can see him motioning there, and the guy's saying, hey, I can't push it.
We are at the halfway point now. 42 laps of the 84-lap scheduled distance complete. As we take a look at the race summary, Mario Andretti led 13 of the 40 laps of this race. It's been a great battle at the front of the field. And that average speed, by the way, is well above Danny Sullivan's race record of 94 miles an hour set 1 year ago. We are in the only full course caution that we have had throughout the entire race. Here are the cars out. Rocky Moran had trouble right at the start. Ken Johnson, Guido Dacco, his chances for Rookie of the Year going away. Roberto Guerrero, Carter, John Jones, and Fabrizio Barbazza, all out of the running thus far. Here's the number 8 Quaker State Porsche, the Porsche machine with its first win this season. One of the fascinating cars on the IndyCar circuit. Jack Arute took a look.
Porsche's IndyCar effort mates a specifically designed March chassis with their highly touted Porsche IndyCar engine. Now, when you take a look at the chassis itself coming from March, it's flatter and wider across the nose than its Lola counterpart. This allows the air to run up along a very small windscreen and back over the driver's head. And when we get back to the Motronics engine management system, which is unique to Porsche's IndyCar effort, you notice it's located here, with wires running back to the engine and monitoring all the functions and dictating just what the fuel mix and spark mixture should be on the engine. These wires here may look superfluous, but they're extremely important for the real-time telemetry which is sent out by this team back to pit road during the course of an event. We've talked a lot about it on ESPN, and some say it gives them just a slight competitive edge over some of their counterparts in IndyCar competition. The horsepower rating for this combination, well, it's pegged right at about 720 horses.
The green flag comes out. Mario Andretti leads the field down. There's Nick Finoro with the green as Rick Mears renews his pursuit of Mario Andretti. Michael Andretti gets bottled up behind Raul Boisel, and Bobby Rahal tries to thread his way down the inside as well.
Boy, that is a close bit of action right there. Anybody could make a slip and really be disastrous.
Boisel in the Domino's car runs in 10th place. Off of the pace of this race. The front of the field is still Mario Andretti, and once again we've got a fight right back at the front. The 5th place car, Al Unser Jr. Bobby Rahal lies just in front of him. That Craco machine, number 18. Again, comparative power, Chevrolet in the first 3 positions, and then Bobby Rahal was Conworth power. And then a little Al with Chevrolet. Ari Leyendyk dropped a wheel off the track, but as we get to the late stages of this race, I think you're going to see a lot of that, John.
Could be. There you see Bobby Rahal trying to make a move to get by so he can chase those leaders. He desperately wants to get by Raul Boisel and have a chance to keep up with the leaders and run his car as hard as he would like to.
No indication of Boisel's plans for next year in the Indy cars. Currently, the indication is he has no ride for the next season. Rick Mears hard on the brakes. Boy, they're really running in turn 11 hard as Rick Mears tries to hold off the challenge by Michael Andretti. They come up through the bends at the top of the hill. Michael places himself for a pass. Can he get out on the outside and around Rick? Rick comes into the corner just a little bit high and is able to hold Michael off.
Yeah, he thought better of that move, but I tell you, Michael has really shown some a little more savvy. He's getting the hang of it, as it were, and he's going to be very tough next season.
I tell you what, he's matured tremendously this year. I think he's one of the best drivers on the circuit now. Here's Carl Haas as he continues to watch. Makes little notes to himself all the way around the track. Every lap, he just wishes that car around the circuit.
Yeah, we ought to nickname him Mumbles. He's sitting up there mumbling. I'll bet.
So Carl Haas with his cars running in 1st and 3rd as they straddle the Penske car of Rick Mears. Rick started on the pole. There's Roger Penske, who keeps track of Rick Mears' car on the track. Those two men have a very special relationship, and of course Rick Mears will be with Penske probably just as long as he wants because they love racing together. Michael Andretti, they come down the hill. Michael now placing himself in position once again to take a look at the braking as Rick comes to the inside just a little bit, and that frustrates Michael's attempt.
It really does. That area is the prime place. We've seen more passing there than anywhere, but that's the place you've got to be just right, and he hasn't been able to get just right yet on Rick Mears.
Well, there's the savvy driver, too, though. Rick Mears trying to get in a position to pass Mario Andretti, while at the same time keeping mind of what's going on behind him and placing the car in a position that makes it a little more difficult for Michael to get around. Let's go to the pits again. Here's Jack.
Paul, you know the problems that Mario Andretti has had all year. Winless thus far. The team has been disconsolate about it. Well, earlier today, they grabbed a Grateful Dead sticker and they plastered it on the car, said we might as well be deadheads. Maybe it will change our luck. If you're a superstitious type, maybe they'll rock and roll their way to victory lane today.
They seem like they're doing it now, as Mario Andretti, for the most part, seems unchallenged by Rick. Rick really has his hands full trying to keep Michael back. Last time that Mario Andretti went winless in a season was back in 1982. Will he go winless this year? Perhaps not. Michael Andretti teaming for the first time with his father. We ask him, is the season working out the way you wanted?
It's been great for me. I think to me it's the best team I've ever been with. I think the group of guys that were put together in a short period of time are the best in my book. And I'm just very happy with the whole association. I loved working with Dad. It's just unfortunate that he didn't have a better year than he did. But he's had those before. It's just racing. Other than that, it's been a good year. It's been a frustrating year, but at least we've been competitive.
And there goes Rick Mears, who is able to, under braking, suddenly move up and get around Mario. So Mears back into the lead of this race. Rick Mears takes over the lead. Mario Andretti drops back to second. John Jones' car has been sitting off the course for some time. He's out of the race. But Rick Mears back in the lead again.
He made a move there in a place, so I wonder if Mario might have It's hard for me to believe that Mario would just say, okay, Rick, you take the lead. There we see Roger Penske talking and obviously very pleased with that move. But Mario Andretti has a great deal of experience, and so he may be just pacing himself a little bit.
So the lead changes once again, and it goes back to Rick Mears. The pole was on the course in pursuit, running in 8th place, when all of a sudden he lost control. Watch that green and white car coming off of the corner, and he caught the wall on the right side real hard. The wing came off of the car, severe damage to the back end, and you can see Teo is slumped over in the cockpit. The corner workers, the course marshals, ever present right there, right on top of the car. Here comes the Horton safety team, a fireman, extrication expert, and a doctor on that car as Teo Fabi, that's one of the doctors with the blue stripes on his arm, right there at the car.
Boy, he took a shot, Paul. When you back one in like that, your tendency is to want to hump up, to get pulled down, to go to the basement, and when it hits the wall, there's no way you can stay in that position, and it just slams your head back into the back of the headrest, and he got his bell rung pretty good. Let's hope it's not real serious.
Horton safety team, they call for a cervical collar to put around his neck. Here it is in slow motion, Johnny.
Yeah, it looks like he just got to the inside, dropped the left rear wheel off into the dirt, which turned him loose. The car came around, you see it, it's going backwards there, slams into the wall very hard, taking the rear wing off, knocking the rear wheels askew, and he slides back out on the track to a stop. Quite a shot.
He was tucked up right behind Fittipaldi. You think he lost aerodynamics?
I don't think so. They're not fast enough there to really, I would think, to really have a problem. I think he just was pushing so hard through there that when he got that wheel off, there was no traction, and so the car let go and went around.
They work with Teo Fabi. Not a routine situation at this point. Under full course yellow once again. They have taken Teo's helmet off. Rick Mears is out in front of the field. Mario Andretti is in second. Michael is third. And this car, Al Unser Jr., rides in 4th place. This should create an excellent opportunity for pit stops. This yellow comes at a very opportune time, maybe just a little too early. Rick Mears, the leader, is already in. Second and third, Michael and Mario Andretti come in. Mario running in second, Rick Mears running in third. So the top of the order all in the pits right now. Let's go to Jackaroon.
And Michael Andretti is taking some directions from his crew chief as he watched the leader go by. Rick Mears has completed his work. He is a little cockeyed coming into this pit stall. They're going to have to get his wheels straightened away. He's taking on fuel. They say this should be their final stop of the day. He hits a tire. One of the tires had gone off, and he bumps his way out, but he's back out on the track.
So Michael Andretti, Rick Mears, Mario Andretti make stops. Al Unser Jr. picks up the lead, but we are under a full course caution once again because of the accident involving Teo Fabi. Here's Gary Gerald. Looks ahead just under that bridge to see the green flag come out. There it is. And we're back racing once again. Al Unser Jr. has plenty of pad. Rick Mears jumps around Kevin Kogan, picks up second place, and now tries to pursue Al Unser Jr. That's Mears' teammate Danny Sullivan just ahead. He is not in this order. The Pennzoil car runs in second place. Kevin Kogan runs down in third. Mario Andretti has dropped back to fourth. Michael Andretti is running in fifth.
This is the opportunity where guys get bunched up on these full course yellows, Paul. And then when they take off, we can see who the runners are, because there's a little gap that develops between the second group of cars and the first group. And of course, here's Arie Luyendyk up in there, right in with them.
Mario Andretti comes past Kevin Kogan, picks up third place. Arie Luyendyk is one of the traffic cars, not in this particular fight, but Mario picks up the position and moves up into third place. Arie Luyendyk is actually running off of the pace of the leaders, back in ninth place, but he is staying right with Mario and trying to put in the best possible finish he can. You're on board with Luyendyk now as he comes screaming down the hill, through the corkscrew, out from under the bridge, heading for turn 10, brings her way out to the outside. A very fast corner here as he snaps her down a gear. Now they look ahead to bring her down several gears and get on the brakes as they come onto the pit straight.
Great shot.
Listen to Arie as he accelerates up the hill now. And there's the stop-and-go penalty for Michael Andretti. Here's Gary.
Well, they went for a splash of fuel. I don't know if they even got a splash. It was stop, it was go. He's gone.
So Michael Andretti rolls back into the fight. But with that stop, he drops down to 8th place. Still, it's not that far back. He comes out just 17 seconds behind the leader, Al Unser Jr., though it cost him dearly in positions. The order now, Al Unser Jr., 2 seconds out in front of Rick Mears. followed by Mario Andretti, then Kevin Kogan, then Scott Pruitt. Bobby Rahal is 6th. Emerson Fittipaldi is 7th. Michael Andretti back in 8th now, and Arie Luyendyk running 9th. It's really got to get on the brakes on this very rough road, and turns down and heads toward Jack Arute, who is there to call the stop.
Paul, as we've said so many times, the narrow confines of pit road here, especially on Laguna Seca's road course, they have gone to work. They are trying to put the fuel in. They are waiting for the signal on the vent hose that the tank is full. So far, they have not been able to see it. They elect to go without because they think they have emptied the tank, but it is, of course, not a full load, but enough they hope to go the distance.
15 seconds in for Al Unser Jr. The number 4 yellow Pennzoil car, well, that belongs to Rick Mears, and he is the leader of this race once again, picking up the lead during that pit stop from Al Unser Jr. Mario Andretti was also able to come around Little Al while he was in the pits, so Mario is now running in 2nd place. Little Al is 3rd, and Kevin Kogan is still holding on with his fingertips to 4th place. Chris Mears, Rick's wife, works on the scoring stand, keeping track of her husband's laps. Listens in on the radio conversation, and there's Randy Lewis in the Toshiba car, number 28, as he pulls off of the course. Didn't look like any problem. It looks like he just shut it down and pulled it off, Johnny.
It appears that way. There's no smoke or anything coming out. He had some sort of a problem, and just there's a little wisp of smoke, but that's from the turbo probably spinning down. He's pulled off, and whether he's in a precarious position, that remains to be seen.
Bobby Rahal runs in 4th. Scott Pruitt, Emerson Fittipaldi right there as well.
Well, that's a real dogfight. You know, I don't know why Emerson is not pulling up. Obviously, he's just waiting for the right moment. But these guys are racing, and it's an opportunity to get.
Boy, look at Rahal. Rahal got the back end off a little bit, and then totally off as they came up the hill.
Oh, he lost 2 spots very quickly there, just dropping a wheel off of the road.
Look how fast he gets back up to pace, though. Bobby Rahal down through the corkscrew. Fittipaldi got past. Pruitt passed. And so that fight broken up by just the slightest mistake. That was probably about a 3-inch mistake.
Oh, it
cost 2 positions.
It doesn't take much, Paul.
Rick Mears started this race on the pole in record time. Then with 2 full course cautions, they've dropped behind Danny Sullivan's race record from last year, but not far. And Rick Mears has been steadily bringing that pace back up. Mears' average speed right now is 93.6 miles an hour. The race record is 94.09. So if Rick can keep the pace up and not have to economize too much, he can also break his teammate's record if he can run this car to the checkered flag. But fuel is still the question. There's Rick Mears. Coming down the hill now, Mario Andretti, as he has to deal with Steve Saleen to get past that 59 car. And Paul Newman continues to cheer Mario on. Coming to the line now. 3 laps to go. And Mario has closed in just a little bit more. 6 seconds behind Mears. You can see the closure occur now. And Mears should start to pick up a view of Mario.
Well, he probably will, but he's still got, you can hear him there. He was short shifting. He was taking it very easy on the car, not pushing to try to save some fuel.
Rick Mears, the number 4 Pennzoil machine. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Get a quick word with Roger. With Roger Penske. Roger, how economical are you having to play it?
Well, we're running as economic as we can. We're just using the time up just so we can try to make it on fuel.
Have you got enough so that if you give him the command to go for it, he can make it?
Well, I hope so. We'll just have to see.
Mario eating away slowly. Roger with that wry smile. We're playing it out right to the checkered, Paul.
Yeah, I wonder if Roger really knows. Rick Mears out in front, 6 seconds behind and closing is Mario Andretti. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, Carl Haas just flipped his cigar around. Carl's watching. Can they go the distance, Carl? Can you make it? Or are you holding your breath?
I'm holding my breath.
How close is it going to be?
It's got a shot. It's close.
Sometimes, though, close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades, guys.
Oh, boy. Carl is one nervous man. Mario Andretti with the best finish of this season possibly in store. Maybe a win. Fuel will tell the distance. Mario Andretti carved another full second off of Rick Mears' lead with the 82nd lap now being complete. Al Unser Jr. is still in 3rd. Right behind him is Scott Pruitt and Emerson Fittipaldi, and then Bobby Rahal. But the concentration is at the front of this field as Mario Andretti now can feel the possibility of a victory in his hand. 2 laps to go.
Boy, he's using all of that racetrack, pushing as hard as he can. He sees that yellow car there, Paul, and he's going for it.
Rick Mears still looking backwards. 1982 Riverside, the last time Mears has won on a road course. Starting for the second time in his career from a pole on a road circuit. In fact, they came in to ask him which side of the front row you want to start on. He said, wow, I don't think I've ever had to make a decision like that. Paul Newman wishing Mario Andretti around the course. Roger Penske. And Rick Mears onto the pit straight. He flashes across the line again.
Getting closer.
83 laps are now complete. And the white flag showing to Rick Mears. Can he hold on for this final lap? Mario Andretti closed down to just under 4 seconds as they came across the line. Rick Mears now begins the long climb through the carousel and then up the hill. But you can see the number 5 car, that handling machine of Mario Andretti, is closing in. A right turn ahead and then a left. And then they climb the bank. That burns up this methanol fuel as they climb to the top of the hill. Andretti trying to close in, trying for the best finish of this season. And there he is, right behind Rick Mears. Can he get the entire lap going? Let's listen, see how those engines are sounding. Mario down through the corkscrew. Picking up every bit of momentum that he can as he comes down the hill. Kevin Kogan lies just in front of Rick Mears as Mears comes toward the final turn now. Down the hill, making that final left-hander. Rick Mears on the pit straight now. Kogan ahead, no factor in this finish as Rick Mears looks for the checkered flag, and he's done it. Rick Mears has won the Champion Spark Plug 300 and scored a road race victory. I think Roger's happy with that with almost anything else. Jim Williams is there, Jerry Brehan, the members of the crew. Boy, they are pleased with that one. The fight coming to the bottom of the hill between Al Unser Jr. and Scott Pruitt.